Russia's history with corrupt elections. When we think of Russia currently, we think of a big, friendly bear. But in reality, Russia is more like this kind of bear. Be mine or else, to places such as eastern Ukraine and other Eastern Bloc countries, or formerly Eastern Bloc countries. Next, please. Modus operandi. Russia has a history of involvement in corrupt government and corrupting government officials in foreign countries. Russia has a lot to gain by having a strong ally in power in foreign countries, such as in Ukraine. Russia has a lot to gain from making foreign countries' foreign policy and domestic policy look similar to Russia's policy. Next, please. Traditional allies of Russia, extending from Poland all the way to North Korea and North Vietnam, and going all the way back down to Cuba. Russia has a huge sphere of influence that has continued. If we look carefully at this map, we can see that the Soviet Union was a huge expanse covering thousands of miles of land. Russia's traditional allies are Cuba, North Korea, China, North Vietnam, and other Eastern Bloc countries. Next, please. Russian economy. Russian gas, Russian natural resources, wood, oil, and their gas pipeline has been a huge bone of contention with countries such as the Ukraine, specifically the eastern Ukraine. And the Crimea has been a huge bone of contention with the Ukraine and Russia in recent years. Next, please. Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin is the past leader of the KGB. He's the president of Russia, chairman of the United Russian Party, and he is the current president of Russia. Vladimir Putin will continue to be in power due to his iron grip on the Russian government and the Russian democratic process. Next, please. The media. Tam jest nepravda na pravdu. There's no truth in pravda. That's an old Russian saying. Pravda is the Russian government official newspaper. The truth. The truth is what pravda means, but there is no truth in it according to what most Russians believe because it is written by the government. The Russian government has a strong grip on Russian media and what goes to press about Russia's government and officials. Political opposition usually doesn't find any place in Pravda except for protesters going to jail or disappearing. Next, please. Immigrants to Russia. Vladimir Putin's policy has had it so that people who are from foreign countries have to register some of them as foreign agents. But all foreign agents are put on a registry. Registry of foreign agents are kept by the Russian government, and the U.S. view recently has been very similar in that it has been suggested that there be an Islamic registry. And there have been bans on immigration from certain countries. What are the neighbors doing? Pro-Russian, then. The United States went into Afghanistan to save the Afghanistan people from the spread of communism by training and advising the Afghani people on how to fight the Russian communists by training them with CIA agents on the ground. Russia pushed its gas pipeline, and Russia wanted to spread communism, and so the Korean War and the Vietnam War happened, and it is remembered for being a huge part in the spread of communism. And the phrase, let's defeat we have to stop the spread of communism, is a phrase many people still do remember. Pro-Russia now. The liberal Polish president died in a plane crash a few years ago, and now the pro-Russian government is in power. The Ukraine, in 2014, Russian tanks crossed the Ukrainian border and went into Russia, and currently there is some contention over the eastern Ukrainian border, and a power plant in eastern Ukraine is being fought over currently by pro-Russian forces. And in Syria, Russia backed the pro-government forces by sending them arms. Next, please. Discredit the enemy. To discredit the enemy, Russia puts protesters in jail. It has government news. Chairman President Putin. Pravda. There's no truth in Pravda. There's Russian media led by the government. In the United States, currently, protesters should be in jail, according to President Trump. Obama, from a previous administration, was accused of wiretapping. There's the suggestion that families of immigrants should be forced to be separated at the border, and the idea of fake news, which is rather similar to Pravda. Next, please. All right. Russia and the U.S. after the election, 2012 election for Russia, 2017 for the United States. The media has been silenced, in part. This empowerment of protesters, cronyism, or the appointment of officials that have the same agenda, and ramping up the military spending, violating the Constitution of Russia and the United States, suggesting jail time and heavy fines for protesters. Should we be concerned? Yes, we should. Russia has a lot to gain by having a new market to sell all of its natural resources to. Everybody in the Russian government with any kind of investment in the natural resources that Russia is selling, or business ties to Russia, will make a lot of money when they open up the United States markets to Russian natural resources. Russian policy and Russian ideas are somehow begun to look very similar to U.S. policies. Russia has a history of this kind of involvement and corruption, as you can clearly see in Poland, the Ukraine, Belarus, China, Cuba, North Korea, North Vietnam, and many other places. Russia is involved. Russia does do these things, and we have a lot to be concerned about, and this should be looked into immediately. Thank you for listening.